There is no official word on what caused Debbie Reynolds' death, but many believe it was no coincidence that she died just one day after the death of her daughter, Carrie Fisher. Medical experts say broken heart syndrome is real. More now from Dr. John LaPook.
It's unclear what led to Debbie Reynolds' death just one day after her daughter's. But emotionally stressful events like the death of a spouse or child can trigger a sudden surge in stress hormones that are felt to stun the heart and prevent it from pumping properly, or cause an artery supplying the heart to go into spasm.
This entire part of the heart is not moving at all.
Cardiologist Dr. Harmony Reynolds of NYU Langone Medical Center has studied this under-recognized condition, which occurs mainly in older women, many of whom have no obvious pre-existing heart disease.
This is a heart attack syndrome that, unlike typical heart attack, occurs with the arteries completely open. And the area of the heart that's affected is quite large, but if people survive the event, it all goes away.
Symptoms can resemble a heart attack, including chest pain and shortness of breath, but may be subtle, causing women to delay seeking help.
We don't necessarily understand why an emotional connection exists. But we know that the brain and the heart are closely connected. You can die of heartbreak, but exactly how that happens and exactly why, we don't know.
Most people fully recover, but death can occur from problems like heart failure or an irregular heartbeat. In addition, a blood clot in the heart can travel to the brain, causing a stroke.
The husband of one of the teachers killed in Uvalde this week collapsed and died on Thursday while preparing for his wife's funeral. Joe Garcia had been married to his high school sweetheart, Irma, for 24 years before she was killed at Robb Elementary School.
Health reporter Haley Hernandez joins us now with more on how extreme sorrow, Haley, can be deadly.
Yeah, so it's a real syndrome known as broken heart syndrome. It's a real medical emergency. It can happen when someone's experiencing severe traumatic grief. According to the family of Uvalde teacher Irma Garcia, her husband died from his grief. And tonight, one doctor's warning that this can happen to anyone under stress.
Grief is actually the most common thing we see causing broken heart syndrome.
According to Dr. George Deschanel from Kelsey-Seybold Clinic, a sudden surge of adrenaline in the bloodstream can cause a sort of heart failure. He says shortness of breath, palpitations, chest pain are all symptoms. While it is technically different from a heart attack, it's just as deadly.
And so essentially, if you have this undue or uncontrolled stress, this can cause 100% real cardiovascular consequences. And even like our everyday stress that we have in our lives can cause increases of your blood pressure and your heart rate. And those two things, if they're poorly controlled or uncontrolled, can actually predispose you to having or increase your risk of having cardiovascular issues down the road. And patients who already have a confirmed diagnosis of heart disease can cause worsening of those conditions as well.
While we don't know the exact cause of death for Joe Garcia, husband of Uvalde teacher Irma Garcia, his family says, "I truly believe Joe died of a broken heart, and losing the love of his life of more than 25 years was too much to bear."
But based off of the timing and the circumstances of his death, I think definitely broken heart syndrome should be kept on the table as a possibility.
Anxiety, grief, depression, all of those things have increased for everyone during the pandemic. Pandemic-related stress caused cases of broken heart syndrome to increase, according to some studies. So Dr. Deschanel emphasizes that your mental health is directly linked to your heart health. He says if you need mental health care, you need mental health care if your stress levels have increased recently.